If you're planning a move to Johnson County, one of the biggest questions you'll face is this: do you sell your current home first or should you buy first? And honestly, this decision can either make your move feel easy and controlled or stressful and rushed. And there's really no one size fits all answer, but there is a smarter way to approach it for your situation. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through when selling first makes the most sense, when buying first might actually be the better move, and the biggest mistake that I see people make when relocating here. Hi friends, I'm Cheryl McCormick, a licensed realtor with the #1 ranked Rob Ellerman team right here at Reese Nichols in Kansas City. On this channel, I help buyers and sellers make confident, well-timed real estate decisions, especially those relocating to Johnson County or right-sizing for their next chapter, with honest conversations about what actually works in today's market. So let's dive in. So first, why this decision matters. Before we get into what you should do, I want to explain why this matters so much. Because this decision impacts your financial flexibility, your stress level during the move, and how competitive you can be when making an offer. And here's the reality in Johnson County. Homes, especially in desirable areas like Overland Park, Leawood, and other cities in Johnson County, can still move quickly when they're priced correctly. So timing really matters. So next, when selling first makes sense. So let's start with selling first, because for many of my clients, this is the more comfortable option. Here are 4 situations where selling first might be the right move. So first, you want financial clarity. When you sell first, you'll know exactly how much equity you have, what your budget really is, and what your monthly payment will look like. So instead of guessing, you're making decisions based on real numbers, and that tends to lead to much more confident choices. Number 2, you don't want to carry 2 mortgages, even temporarily. And I'm actually working with a couple right now relocating from the East Coast, and this is the exact situation that we walked through together. They decided that instead of trying to buy first, they wanted to get their home under contract first before they make an offer here. So here's how we structured it. Once their home is under contract, we'll start looking more aggressively here in Johnson County. And then when we find the right home, we'll write an offer that's contingent on the closing of their current home. Now, when a lot of people hear contingent offer, they assume that that's a weak position, but that's not always the case. Now, if their home is already under contract, and especially if it made it through the inspection phase, that's often seen as a much stronger and more confident offer than people expect, because at that point, the biggest uncertainty has already been removed. And the nice part about structuring it this way is it still very often allows them to make just one move. So they get the clarity of having their home under contract, the confidence of making a strong offer here, and the convenience of a much more seamless transition. And for a lot of people, especially those nearing retirement, the idea of carrying 2 mortgage payments, even temporarily, just doesn't feel comfortable. Number 3, you're moving out of state. Another benefit of selling first, especially if you're relocating from out of state, is that it gives you a clean transition. You have fewer moving parts and less logistical stress. So for many people, especially when they're relocating, this approach just feels simpler, more manageable, and really just a lot less stressful overall. And the 4th reason you may want to sell first, you want to avoid rushed decisions. When you sell first, you're not under pressure to just pick something. You can take your time and find the right home. But there is a trade-off, which brings us to our next topic, the downside of selling first. Well, the biggest downside, you may need a temporary housing plan. Now that could look like renting short term, staying with family, or doing a lease back, depending on your situation. And this is really where it becomes more of a personal decision, because for some people, that temporary period feels like a small trade-off for having more clarity and control. And for others, it's the part that feels the most disruptive. So it's less about whether this is a good or bad option and more about what kind of transition feels the most comfortable for you. And for some people, avoiding that in-between period becomes the deciding factor. So instead of selling first, they start to explore, what it would look like to buy first instead. And in the right situation, that can actually be a really good option. So, next, when does buying first make sense? Well, here are three situations where buying first just might make sense. Number one, you have strong financial flexibility. If you can qualify for the new home without needing to sell first, this opens up a lot of options. You're not dependent on timing, you're not trying to line up two closings perfectly, and it allows you to make decisions a little more calmly. It gives you more control over the process instead of feeling like everything has to happen at exactly the right moment. Number two, you want to avoid temporary housing. You can move once and be done. And for a lot of my clients, especially those relocating, this is a huge emotional win. You're not packing, unpacking, and then doing it all over again. You're going straight from one home to the next. And for many people, that simplicity and convenience is worth a lot. Number three, you want to act quickly when the right home appears. The best homes don't always wait. They tend to come on the market when they come on the market. And this is especially true in parts of Johnson County where inventory can be limited in certain price points or neighborhoods. If you've already bought or you're in a position to buy without contingencies, you can move quickly and make a stronger, cleaner offer. And in a competitive situation, that can make a real difference in whether or not you actually get the home. And sometimes we'll also look at options like bridge financing or other strategies to help make buying first possible. But again, that really depends on your comfort level and your overall plan. So now let's talk about some of the downsides, the risks of buying first. Here's the part people don't always think through. If you buy first, your current home still has to sell. And sometimes that timing doesn't line up exactly the way you expected. Even in a strong market, there are still variables that you can't fully control. Buyer demand can shift, interest rates can change, or your home may take a little longer to attract the right offer. And if it doesn't sell as quickly as expected, you can start to feel financial pressure, especially if you're carrying two mortgage payments at the same time. You may need to adjust your price to get the home sold, or you could end up carrying both homes longer than you originally planned. And for a lot of people, that's where the stress really starts to build, because what initially felt like a flexible, convenient option now can start to feel a little more uncertain. Now, that doesn't mean buying first is the wrong decision. It just means that you want to go into it with your eyes wide open, have a clear plan, and a realistic understanding of what could happen. So it's really about balancing convenience on the front end with the potential risk on the back end. Now, let's talk about the biggest mistake that I see. The biggest mistake I see? People trying to make this decision based on what they hope will happen instead of building a strategy around what's most likely to happen. Now, this isn't just a real estate decision, it's a timing and risk decision, and that's where having a plan makes all the difference. And that right answer is different for everyone. It depends on your financial comfort level, your timeline, your flexibility, and your long-term goals. So the goal isn't to predict the perfect outcome, it's to build a plan that works well no matter how the timing plays out. So now here's what I recommend. What I typically recommend is this. Before making a decision, we take a step back and map out both scenarios side by side. What happens if you sell first? What happens if you buy first? And we don't just talk about it in general terms. We actually look at timing, the financial impact, and what each option would realistically look like for you so that you're not guessing. You're making a decision based on a clear plan. And then from there, we build a strategy that gives you the most control and the least amount of stress. If you're thinking about relocating to Johnson County, this is one of the most important conversations to have early, because once you get this decision right, everything else tends to fall into place much more smoothly. If you'd like help thinking through your situation, I'm always happy to talk through it with you. No pressure. You can scan the QR code on your screen to schedule a quick Zoom call, or you'll find my contact information in the description below. And if you're still in the research phase, I have additional videos that walk you through the true costs of relocating, what different price points look like here, and how to choose the right area. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe for more honest conversations about relocating to Johnson County, downsizing in Johnson County, and right sizing in Johnson County. That really helps my channel grow, and I'm just so appreciative. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And if you're thinking about downsizing, right sizing, or relocating to Johnson County, this channel is for you.